This person loves the fact that you remind them of nobody. You march to the beat of your own drum. You are someone who's got a lot of swag, a very unique sense of style. You are someone that is very hard to define, hard to predict. Just when this person thinks they have you figured out, you go and switch things up. A whole new facet of yourself comes to light, and you definitely have this person under your spell. They are mesmerized, they are fixated upon you. This is somebody that is getting into a position of readiness inside of themselves to take action towards you that it feels like they usually don't sort of do as far as romance is concerned. This is something that wants to be like over the top with their romantic gestures and efforts, wants to really like win you over in some sort of way, wants to let you know that they see you, they understand you, they appreciate all that you are and the mystery of what shall be revealed. That this is somebody who is not trying to like contain or cage you, but they want you to feel very free to continue to blossom, be your free spirited self within a romantic partnership with them. So definitely expect extravagant effort forward, and that might just be somebody that puts in a lot of effort. They could be somebody that just kind of like gives a little to sort of test situations out. They hold back until they're like really certain that it's a good match between themselves and somebody else. But you are somebody that's like, you're a breed into yourself. You are somebody that again doesn't fit into a box. You don't fit into a category. You are someone that is a very rare gem in this person's life, and as they imagine probably in the lives of all who encounter you. This is somebody who definitely doesn't want to fall into the category of like an idiot who fumbled you, like people in the past might have been. This is somebody that sees a window of opportunity, like you are single, or you're giving off the vibe that you're single, that you're approachable, or at least that it would be well worth kind of like taking a chance to sort of find that out directly. This is somebody that doesn't want to spend a whole lot of time kind of lurking around in the shadows. They want to approach you in the light of day. They understand that it may require a gentle touch, or that you're somebody that won't easily be won over, because just what they've been able to kind of like see or understand about you so far, you're very unique. You are somebody that like the usual sort of pickup lines, the usual tricks, the usual sort of game that they run on people romantically speaking, this is something that isn't going to work with you. Either your standards are really high, or you're just kind of like a rare and unique individual. So anything that would normally kind of dazzle people that they are used to, people that are kind of like typically in their orbit, or they've had opportunities with in the past, there's a sense of like you're going to require something different. You're going to require something that even if those kind of initial steps forward towards you are a good way to break the ice between the two of you and kind of get the conversation started, that it's going to require something a lot more creative on their part. They're going to have to give a lot more. They see you as somebody who is willing to walk away. You're not going to chase. You're not giving off a vibe of like desperation. You're giving off the vibe of somebody that is very content in your own world, very content in your own company. Again, though, like a warmth and approachability that lets this person know, hey, it's worth the effort to, at least sort of see, are you single? Are you available? Are they even your type? And if they already have that part sort of figured out, then this is something where it feels like that kind of independence, that sort of marching to the beat of your own drum. It is letting this person know that, they got to sort of bring something unique to the table. They have to be willing to kind of go to lengths that they don't normally go to. You're not going to settle for breadcrumbing. You're not going to be somebody that just sort of picks up on suggestions and runs with that. You're not going to be the type of person that if they run hot and cold with you, that you're going to kind of like change priorities or the way in which you're moving through the world to kind of beg and plead and run after them. So they understand they have to be in that energy of a pursuer, because you are not giving off the vibe of somebody that, is very quick, or, has a tendency to kind of get into that position of a chaser. We also have the lamp, remembrance. Yeah, so this is somebody that is definitely, they're keeping tabs on you. They are watching from afar. It's kind of like the energy of the hermit, but there is definitely, that they want to come out of the shadows. This is not somebody that just wants to kind of linger in that place of like pining, yearning for you. This is somebody that is like, okay, there's an opportunity here. I've got interest. I've got a little bit of kind of an understanding that, the vibe is right between the two of us. You seem like somebody intriguing, somebody interesting. I'm deeply attracted to you. So I have to kind of push myself forward. This is not somebody that wants to miss that window of opportunity, because there's a sense of like you've already kind of gotten under their skin. You've already gotten into their system. They're already starting to like crave you very intensely. They're starting to fantasize about what it would be like to be someone with someone like you, what it would be like, to have a romantic partnership with somebody who, needs that kind of reassurance, likes that sort of reassurance, the positive affirmations, the gift giving, the love languages, the hugs and kisses, the cuddles, all that good stuff. But that you are somebody that also, you're able to kind of provide those sort of reassurances for yourself as well. So this is somebody that definitely understands, that a romance with you would involve kind of a different experience of compared to like people they were used to in the past that might have sort of like needed that attention in order to keep their attention interested, or they could have attracted a lot of people that were very content to get into that like chaser sort of energy, which it feels like is not what this person is looking for at this point in their life. They're looking for something that can be, the experience of sort of like they are the one that is in pursuit. They are the one that is trying to like win you over. They see you as the prize, and they have a pretty good understanding that, you're giving off the vibe that that about yourself. So they don't need to convince you of anything. That feels to be something as well that's like a reassurance to this person. They're not having to like boost your self-esteem or, help you to see yourself as lovable because maybe you don't really understand that. They understand that you understand you're a hot commodity. You're a hot little number. And so this is something that, they want to kind of do the most in order to be able to be somebody that has a place in your life, or at least is kind of having the experience of building something with you. We also have Apple, risk and reward. So this person, it feels like, does not want to kind of slip into an experience within where they start to fantasize. They put you up on too much of a pedestal, and then fear gets the better of them. And instead of somebody very kind of like tantalizing, very delectable, very juicy, like they're drawn to you in that capacity now, they don't want you to, in their mind, become like a forbidden fruit. This is somebody that feels like that is very confident. They want to like reach out and take advantage of this opportunity that they see exists between the two of you, or that they're able to create for themselves through their assertiveness, through their, kind of direct action towards you. But they also understand, maybe they've seen that kind of like play out in other people and their buddies and their friends, people that could have just sort of put somebody up on a pedestal, and it was too much of an energy of like longing, yearning, too much in kind of the fantasies of what if, and action steps never happened, because then the person became sort of immortalized in a way, and the humanness left the equation. And so this is somebody that does not want to fall into that category of just sitting, oogling you, drooling over you, having all of these kind of like spicy thoughts and fantasies, but then they get to the point where it's like, there's cold feet, can't reach out and do anything because you seem very untouchable, very inaccessible, very much like somebody that would potentially reject them. So this is somebody that's trying to like kind of like check their ego, check that fear, check that energy where there would be a tendency to hesitate. This is somebody that feels like the best approach in this situation, again, because you're giving off that black cat energy, that very independent, you got your own thing going on, you got kind of your own world that you are focused on. You're not giving pick-me energy. You're not giving this, desperation. That's not the vibe that you give off. So this person feels like they need to match that confidence, that self-assurance, with confidence and self-assurance on their part, which it feels like luckily comes very naturally to this person. They're not having to like feign confidence in order to, kind of come towards you and sort of garner your attention in any kind of way. But at the same point in time, this is also somebody that's like, I need to take quick action. I need to move very decisively in this situation, because otherwise there is kind of the risk that, you're giving off all these kind of like yummy vibes. And if they continue to kind of just sit and be a spectator, sit and kind of observe from more of like a removed stance, then you will become someone that feels very like unattainable. They've got fantasies about you, but they don't want to kind of build you up into, this image in their mind where then it kind of like brings to the surface very sort of natural human insecurities or like a questioning within them that would either cause them to like come forth with some sort of an offer, some kind of an approach that, you know, might sort of set off your alarm bells as somebody with a lot of fear, kind of backing up that confidence. That might be something that, you know, they're worried, like, would that turn you off? Like, it's, they need to have like confidence within, confidence outside, in order to be able, it feels like, to, you know, really make an impression upon you, really get your attention, really lead very strong in this kind of like initial or next interaction between the two of you, in order to be able to kind of savor the infinite possibilities rather than like limiting themselves into something where potentially they get kind of like, you know, thrust into the friend zone in some sort of way, or, you know, potentially they could kind of like talk themselves out of approaching it all. And this person imagines that you've probably got a lot of people, exes, or, you know, people that are like crushing on you, that just sit there and they're just like aching. They just watch you and they're like yearning, wishing that they could talk to somebody like you, wishing that they could be with somebody like you, but then there's no action. So it's never anything more than just kind of a little stadium of spectators kind of giving you all of this attention, all of this kind of like sexual energy directed towards you, with very little kind of action steps taken. This is somebody that does not want to end up one of those faces in that kind of a crowd. They don't want to just have this kind of like energy of regret. What could have happened if I was brave and said something? What could have happened if I had taken steps forward and it worked out between the two of us? What could have happened if, you know, I hadn't just spent all this time kind of like sitting in fantasy land and I had got down to the business of actually doing something in the here and now? What might, you know, the circumstance between myself and you, the viewer, what might that have turned into? Like, they don't want to enter into that realm of what if. So it feels like this is somebody that's like they're pushing themselves forward towards you. There's like a readiness within, but then there's also the sense of like not wanting to wait very long, in order to kind of pluck this opportunity that they see between the two of you, and to have more an experience of that up close and personal. We also have eternal love. Love is love is love, and it transcends physical death. So this is somebody, it feels like, that is very intrigued about, you know, kind of parts of yourself that you have hidden. There's like a glint in your eye. There's a certain level of mischievousness and kind of your smile, sort of like a sense of wonder within that it feels like is very rare compared to like people that they deal with that might kind of, you know, just walk around with like a dark cloud over their head, just very pessimistic, woe is me kind of attitude. And yet there's something about you that suggests you've been through things, you've seen some shit, things have happened to you, you have, you know, risen from the ashes like a phoenix, maybe multiple times. And this is something that, instead of like shutting you down or, you know, kind of breaking you in any sort of way, it's almost like you've built yourself, or you've been revealed or refined into somebody that, you know, in some sort of way, like has the game of life figured out. In some sort of way, it's kind of like you're marching to the beat of your own drum. You have this kind of like self-sustaining confidence that this person feels like is sort of the secret of life. It's an elixir within. This is somebody that sees like you glow from the inside out. And this is somebody that also knows that probably to get to know you would open up a whole different series of mysteries. This is somebody that feels like to have kind of a romantic connection with you would be the sort of experience that it would trigger their shadows, it would trigger their insecurities. They would be challenged to evolve beyond preconceived notions, or even kind of wounds left over, or just sort of like knowledge from previous romantic encounters, that even if you had a very ordinary and, you know, just kind of like basic connection with one another, there's something about kind of this power of your presence, the power of your energy, that this person already kind of understands or has this idea about, you know, that to be in close proximity with you is it's a confrontational experience, not an aggressive experience, but it's almost like you hold a mirror up for others, in some sort of way that really kind of illustrates ways in which, you know, one can kind of transcend their own limitations, whether those are internal things or external things. And so this is somebody that is also, again, kind of like thinking time is of the essence. They don't want to get sort of caught in the fear of the unknown, and they hesitate, or, you know, they come forth and it's with an energy of sort of like, yeah, there's curiosity, there's enthusiasm, but it's laced with fear in some sort of way that might cause you, for whatever it is that you've gone through, to kind of like render yourself into this particular version. This is somebody that sees like you're not going to tolerate nonsense. People coming with like low vibes, chaos, confusion within, that's something that it feels like you're gonna reject that. Your energy's gonna reject that. You yourself are gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna entertain that. I'm not gonna involve myself in that. I'm not gonna knock myself off my own square or pedestal just to kind of sink down to a level with somebody, that doesn't know who they are or doesn't know what they want, or, kind of like brings this sort of like in and out, back and forth behavior. So this is somebody, again, that is very like, they're drawn to this light they see within you, this presence. Like, they definitely would describe you as somebody that has presence, a very commanding presence. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room, but it's like when you enter a room, the whole energy shifts. When you enter a room, people pay attention, and this is something that this person has taken note of. And so they're very kind of curious what a deeper experience with you would be like. What would it be like to have romance with someone like you? What would it be like to be loved by somebody like you? What would it be like to love someone like you? Like, what would that bring out of a person? So this is somebody that feels like that they are kind of gearing up in order to, present themselves to you in a very clear, direct, enthusiastic way, not just to kind of like, get your attention in a very immediate sense, but also so that they are able, to really go the distance with whatever sort of hoops you make them jump through consciously, or just kind of even like instinctually, in order to access this sort of like deeper layers of who you are. And this is also somebody who's kind of anticipating or preparing for the reality that probably getting in closer proximity with you is a very confrontational experience. You don't run around having like black cat energy and it's something that then the person's just a pushover. They see you as somebody that is like a challenge, a good challenge. You're not somebody that it's very kind of like easy to get to. You're not this kind of like, oh, it just takes a couple of fancy words, little song and dance, and somebody's a shoo-in. This is a person that recognizes it's going to take work, it's going to take effort, it's going to take time to build trust. They can be the one who is very assertive, but really you're kind of in control of the situation. They understand that. And so this is somebody that is like preparing to kind of come towards you with the interest of leading in this connection, but also with the ability to kind of get into that place of surrender, of sort of like, you set the tone of the situation energetically or, otherwise. You're the person that kind of like lets them know when they are allowed to kind of step in closer. You're the person that lets them know, how much of kind of what they're bringing to the table, if anything at all, aligns with that sort of like black cat energy, that, independence, that kind of like sense of confidence, that sense of presence within, that this person, understands on some level, is kind of like, you weren't born with that. That's something, maybe you were born with a little bit of it, but you have definitely enhanced that. You've created that. You're like self-created in some sort of way. This version of you, that it came through, confronting yourself, it came through struggle, it came through time, just whatever that process looks like. And so this is somebody that has a lot of recognition and respect for that, but also knows that they don't just want to, again, be like a face in the crowd that's sitting there with like admiration and respect, or the energy of like longing for you, and allowing kind of fear to sort of get in the way and stop them from doing or saying something, or, kind of presenting themselves to you as a romantic option. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.